Good morning dear students. Today we are going to study about mediastinum. Objectives of today's lecture will be, at the end of the lecture you should be able to define mediastinum and you should know what are the divisions of the mediastinum and you should be able to describe what are the boundaries and contents of the mediastinum. Let us define mediastinum. As you can see in this picture, mediastinum, it is defined as a space in the center of the thoracic cavity between the two pleural cavities. It is a space present in the center of the thoracic cavity between the two pleural cavities containing hollow thoracic viscera, the heart and great vessels. Now it is covered by mediastinal pleura on either side. The mediastinum, it is covered by mediastinal pleura on either side. Hence it is also known as interpleural space, right? Because it is present in between the two pleural cavities, it is known as interpleural space. And this space, it is connected to the lungs by the root of the lungs. It is connected to the lungs by the root of the lungs. Now let us discuss a case scenario before going into the subject. A 52-year-old man presented with headache and shortness of breath. He also complained of coughing up small volume of blood. On clinical examination, revealed multiple dilated veins around the neck. A chest radiograph showed an elevated diaphragm on the right and a tumor mass, which was believed to be a primary bronchogenic carcinoma. Now dear students, here you have to apply the anatomical knowledge and you should tell what could be the reason for multiple dilated veins around the neck. Number one. Number two, what could be the reason for elevated diaphragm on the right? Keep these 2 points in the mind. What could be the reason for multiple dilated veins around the neck? And what could be the reason for elevated diaphragm on the right side? You should be able to tell at the end of this lecture. Now, let us discuss about mediastinum. As I have already told you, mediastinum, it is a median portion of the thoracic cavity, also known as interpleural space. Now, what are the boundaries of the mediastinum in general? Mediastinum superiorly, as you can see in this picture, it is bounded by thoracic inlet. Inferiorly, it is limited by the diaphragm. Anteriorly, by the sternum, and posteriorly by 12 thoracic vertebrae. Again, on each side, the mediastinum, it is bounded by mediastinal pleura, right? So these are the boundaries of mediastinum in general. Superiorly, the thoracic inlet, anteriorly sternum, inferiorly bounded by the diaphragm, on either side mediastinal pleura, posteriorly the mediastinum, it is limited by 12 thoracic vertebrae. Now, what are the divisions of the mediastinum? Mediastinum, it is divided into superior mediastinum and inferior mediastinum, as you can see in this picture. Superior and the inferior mediastinum. Now, superior mediastinum is the area above the sternal angle to the lower border of T4. Now, this imaginary line which is passing from the sternal angle up to the lower border of T4 vertebra, it divides the mediastinum into superior mediastinum and the inferior mediastinum. The inferior mediastinum lies between the sternal angle and the diaphragm. So as you can see in this picture, this is the diaphragm and this is the sternal angle. So between the sternal angle and the diaphragm, we have inferior mediastinum and above the sternal angle we have superior mediastinum. So these are the two main divisions of the mediastinum, that it is divided into superior mediastinum and inferior mediastinum by means of an imaginary plane passing from the sternal angle up to the lower border of T4 vertebra. Now this inferior mediastinum, again it is subdivided into anterior mediastinum, middle mediastinum and posterior mediastinum. Superior mediastinum doesn't have any subdivisions. Only the inferior mediastinum, it is been divided into anterior mediastinum, middle mediastinum and posterior mediastinum. Now let us discuss about the anterior mediastinum, which is a division of the inferior mediastinum, right? The anterior mediastinum, it lies in front of the pericardium. Middle mediastinum, it contains heart and the pericardium. Posterior mediastinum, it lies behind the pericardium. So in this diagram we can easily make out these divisions of the mediastinum. This is the superior mediastinum, which is above the sternal angle. Below the imaginary line we have inferior mediastinum, which is again subdivided into anterior mediastinum, which is in front of the pericardium, then middle mediastinum, which contains heart and the pericardium, and this is the posterior mediastinum, which is behind the pericardium. Now let us discuss about superior mediastinum. What are the boundaries of the superior mediastinum? Now this superior mediastinum, as you can see in this picture, anteriorly it is bounded by manubrium sterni. Manubrium sterni. Posteriorly, upper four thoracic vertebrae, T1 to T4 vertebrae, intervening intervertebral discs, and anterior longitudinal ligament, which is attached to the bodies of the thoracic vertebrae. So anteriorly, the superior mediastinum, it is bounded by manubrium sterni. Posteriorly, it is bounded by upper four thoracic vertebrae and intervening intervertebral discs, and also there is an attachment of anterior longitudinal ligament. Superiorly, the superior mediastinum, it is bounded by a plane of thoracic inlet, and inferiorly horizontal plane passing between the sternal angle and the lower border of T4. On each side, superior mediastinum, it is bounded by mediastinal pleura. So these are the boundaries of the superior mediastinum. Now the contents of the superior mediastinum. The contents are arranged in three groups: retrosternal, behind the sternum, intermediate and prevertebral contents. Okay, retrosternal, intermediate group and prevertebral group. We'll see one by one. Retrosternal structures, which are behind the sternum in the superior mediastinum. The origin of sternothyroid and sternohyoid muscle. Remember the muscle, we have dealt with this in the head and neck. These are infrahyoid group of muscles, sternothyroid and sternohyoid muscle. So origin of sternothyroid and sternohyoid muscles are the contents of the retrosternal structures in the superior mediastinum. Then the thymus gland, which is prominent after birth and rapidly diminishes at puberty, right? Thymus is an lymphoid organ. Then we have right and left brachiocephalic veins. As you can see in this diagram, it is written right innominate vein or the brachiocephalic vein, then left brachiocephalic vein, the upper part of superior vena cava, and left superior intercostal vein. So these are the contents in the retrosternal part of the superior mediastinum. So we can see here the origins of the sternohyoid and sternohyoid thyroid muscles. The name itself, it tells you sterno means they are arising from the posterior surface of the manubrium sterni. So these are the structures in the retrosternal part of the superior mediastinum. Right and left brachiocephalic veins. Now coming to the intermediate structures in the superior mediastinum, the intermediate structures are arch of aorta with 3 large branches. So what are the 3 large branches from the arch of aorta? Number 1, the brachiocephalic trunk. Then we have left common carotid and left subclavian artery. And the phrenic nerves, the 10th cranial nerve vagus and the cardiac nerves. These are the intermediate structures in the superior mediastinum. Then prevertebral structures in the superior mediastinum. We have trachea with paratracheal and tracheobronchial lymph nodes. The trachea in the prevertebral part of the superior mediastinum with paratracheal lymph nodes and tracheobronchial lymph nodes. Then the other contents in the prevertebral part of the superior mediastinum: esophagus, which is behind the trachea, the left recurrent laryngeal nerve, and the thoracic duct, longus colli muscle. As you can see in this picture, the longus colli muscle, it arises from the bodies of T1, T2 and T3 vertebrae, and eventually the longus colli, it is inserted into the anterior tubercle of the C1 vertebra. Okay, so these are the prevertebral structures in the superior mediastinum. So trachea we can make out, the left recurrent laryngeal nerve, esophagus, thoracic duct. Now let us discuss about the cross section through the superior mediastinum. Now this cross section is at the level of T2 or T3 or at T4 vertebral level. Now the most important structures which lie in the transverse section are the brachiocephalic trunk, left common carotid and left subclavian artery. The esophagus, it is anterior to the vertebral body, and anterior to the esophagus we have the trachea and the superior vena cava, which is formed by the union of right and left brachiocephalic vein. It appears on the right side. So this is about the cross-sectional anatomy of the superior mediastinum and the structures which can be seen at the level of T3 vertebra and T4 vertebra, or else at the T2 vertebra. Now coming to the subdivisions of inferior mediastinum. Number 1, we have anterior mediastinum. Now what are the boundaries of anterior mediastinum? Anterior mediastinum, anteriorly it is bounded by the body of the sternum, posteriorly by the pericardium, and superiorly imaginary plane at sternal angle up to the lower border of T4, separating superior mediastinum from the inferior mediastinum, and inferiorly it is bounded by the superior surface of the diaphragm. On each side it is bounded by the mediastinal pleura. So these are the boundaries of anterior mediastinum. That anteriorly it is bounded by the body of the sternum, posteriorly by the pericardium, superiorly an imaginary plane passing from the sternal angle up to the lower border of T4, and inferiorly it is bounded by superior surface of the diaphragm, as you can see in this picture. On each side it is bounded by mediastinal pleura. Now what are the contents in the anterior mediastinum? We have superior and inferior sternopericardial ligaments, as you can see in this picture and in this diagram as well. The contents of the anterior mediastinum. superior and inferior sternopericardial ligaments, then internal thoracic artery, lowest part of the thymus gland, loose areolar tissue, and we have retrosternal lymph nodes and lymphatics. So these are the contents of the anterior mediastinum. Next, middle mediastinum, which is very important. It is the widest subdivision occupied by the heart and pericardium, and it is limited on each side by the mediastinal pleura. So if somebody asks you, where is the location of heart? You have to tell that the heart is located in the middle mediastinum. Right? It is located in the middle mediastinum. So this middle mediastinum, it is limited on each side by the mediastinal pleura. Now what are the contents of the middle mediastinum? Number one, the main important contents of the middle mediastinum, pericardium and the heart, right? Then what are the great vessels we have in the middle mediastinum? The ascending aorta, as you can see in this picture, the ascending aorta, right? The pulmonary trunk, which is arising from the right ventricle. Then veins, lower half of the superior vena cava, which is draining into the right atrium, and 4 pulmonary veins, as you can see in this diagram. We can make out 2 here, but 4 pulmonary veins which drains into the left atrium of the heart, and also the azygos vein. These are the veins which are present in the middle mediastinum. And we also see the bifurcation of the trachea. Bifurcation of the trachea into 2 principal bronchi. Then the nerves we have the phrenic and the cardiac plexus. The lymph nodes, the inferior tracheobronchial group of lymph nodes are present in the middle mediastinum. So these are the contents of the middle mediastinum. Now coming to the posterior mediastinum. It is the longest of the subdivisions of the mediastinum. Anteriorly, it is bounded by the bifurcation, as you can see in this diagram, the bifurcation of the trachea and pulmonary vessels, the fibrous pericardium, and posterior sloping surface of the diaphragm. These are the boundaries of the posterior mediastinum. So anteriorly it is bounded by the bifurcation of the trachea and the pulmonary veins, the posterior sloping surface of the diaphragm, and the fibrous pericardium, which is covering the heart. Now posteriorly, the posterior mediastinum, it is bounded by lower 8 thoracic vertebrae and the intervertebral discs. Superiorly, the posterior mediastinum, it is bounded by the horizontal plane or the imaginary plane passing from sternal angle up to the lower border of T4 vertebra, and inferiorly it is bounded by the diaphragm. So these are the boundaries of the posterior mediastinum. On each side, again, like each subdivision of the mediastinum, on each side it is bounded by mediastinal pleura. Okay, so that is why the mediastinum also known as the interpleural space, because it is present in between the 2 pleural cavities, and all the mediastina on each side, they are bounded by mediastinal pleura. That you have to remember. Now what are the contents in the posterior mediastinum? Now we have longitudinal structures in the posterior mediastinum. Number 1, esophagus, as you can see in this picture. The descending thoracic aorta, right? The descending thoracic aorta. The azygos vein and the hemiazygos veins. Thoracic duct. Vagus nerve. The splanchnic nerves and posterior mediastinal lymph nodes. These are the contents, longitudinal structures which are present in the posterior mediastinum. Now transverse structures which are present in the posterior mediastinum. Termination of superior and inferior hemiazygos veins. right? Then deviation of the thoracic duct from right to left. As you can see in this picture, the deviation of the thoracic duct from right to the left, then draining into the junction between the left brachiocephalic and the left internal jugular vein. Then posterior intercostal arteries and some of the posterior intercostal veins. So these are the transverse structures which are present in the posterior mediastinum. So with this we have completed the definition of the mediastinum and the divisions of the mediastinum and the various contents which are present in the mediastinum. Now coming to the clinical anatomy related to the mediastinum, we have mediastinitis. Mediastinitis, it is an inflammation of the mediastinum, right? So any infection in the neck between pretracheal and prevertebral layers, they spread into the superior mediastinum and from there into the posterior mediastinum, and also any infection behind the prevertebral fascia extend down into the superior mediastinum only. That you have to remember, right? Now what are the symptoms of this? The engorgement of the veins in the upper half of the body, dyspnea, difficulty in breathing, dysphagia, difficulty in swallowing, and hoarseness of the voice, intercostal neuralgia, and paralysis of the diaphragm. So these are the symptoms related to the mediastinitis and mediastinal syndrome. Now prevertebral layer of the deep cervical fascia and pretracheal layers, they extend up to the fourth thoracic vertebrae. So mediastinitis results from infections of the neck, right? Now coming to the superior vena cava syndrome. So what happens in the superior vena cava syndrome? Obstruction of blood flow through the superior vena cava causes dilatation of the collateral veins of the upper thorax and neck and edema and congestion of the face. So patients may have headache, dyspnea, dysphagia. So malignancy is the most frequent cause of this syndrome, the superior vena cava syndrome. So you can see obstruction of blood flow through the superior vena cava. So you can see here the superior vena cava is a large vein draining into the right atrium of the heart. So it causes dilatation of the collateral veins of the upper thorax and the neck, results in edema and congestion of the face, as you can see in this picture, the edema of the face. So these patients may have headache, dyspnea, difficulty in breathing, and dysphagia, difficulty in swallowing. So malignancy is the most frequent cause of this syndrome. Now coming to we started with a clinical question. I told you to remember 2 points. One is the reason for multiple dilated veins. The other is why there is an elevated diaphragm on the right side. Now the multiple dilated veins around the neck are indicative of venous obstruction. Right? Venous obstruction. So the veins are dilated on both sides of the neck, implying that obstruction must be within a common vessel. So what is that common vessel? The superior vena cava. So obstruction in the superior vena cava leads to multiple dilated veins around the neck, right? The next, anterior to the superior vena cava, in the right side of the chest, we have phrenic nerve, which supplies the diaphragm. Do you remember the phrenic nerve? It supplies the diaphragm. Because the diaphragm is elevated, suggesting paralysis, it is clear that the phrenic nerve has been involved in the tumor, which leads to paralysis of the diaphragm. So there is an elevated appearance in the radiograph of the chest of the right side of the diaphragm, that is due to the paralysis of the right side of the diaphragm because of the involvement of the phrenic nerve in the tumor. So with this we have come to the conclusion. So to have a quick recap, so far we discussed about the definition of the mediastinum, right, and the divisions of the mediastinum, and boundaries and the contents of the mediastinum. And we have also discussed about the superior vena cava syndrome, right, and the mediastinitis. Thank you.